let's blast into another review. Hello and welcome to a Smurp video, and today we are looking at X-Men Eve of Destruction Omnibus, or oversized hardcover, whatever you want to call it, but it's an omnibus in my eyes. Now, this time of year I get really excited because we start seeing some X-Men omnibuses. We've got Cable and X-Force coming out soon, and then we've got Shadow Shot later in the year. I'm hoping we get some sort of surprise at some point. But, you know, it may not happen. We've not seen a classic book this year so far. Now, what I would love to see is something like Uncanny X-Men Volume 4. May not happen, but, you know, that would be nice. So, here is the cover, and it's based on one of the issues around Eve of Destruction. I think it's at issue 110. I could be wrong. And there's the side. I'll tell you what, I really dig this Magneto picture on the side. Absolutely classy. He's got like this purple instead of the classic kind of red around the helmet and the cloak, etc., which absolutely looks sensational. And it says the Master of Magnetism is back. And there is the synthesis. And this is there's a bit with the Avengers in the story. And here are the issues. Magneto Dark Seduction 1-4. Uncanny X-Men 390-393. Annual 2000. X-Men 110-113. X-Men Forever 1-6. X-Men Declassified. X-Men Unlimited 30-33. And X-Men The Search for Cyclops 1-4. And there is the talented team down there. Fabian, Scott, Joe, Fiona, Cole, etc., etc. And if I've counted correctly, that is 27 issues. So I guess that's why it becomes a hardback rather than an omnibus. But, you know, it's neither here nor there in my mind. Okay, so they've done something really cool and really different. Instead of just having a big spread, well, it is a big spread. So you got Magneto, you got Wolverine, but it's based on the actual main issues, which is why it's called the Eve of Destruction Omnibus. And then you got Psych, you got Storm in there, Professor X. I've forgotten her name. It will come to me later on. Celia Reyes. Does that sound right? I think that sounds right. For some reason I was going to go with Charlotte Jones, the cop. Don't ask me why. So, there is a cover. Very nice. So, let's get inside. Okay, there's the cover. And then there's all the talented team. Writers, pencilers, inkers, colorists, letterers, assistant editors. And then on this side, you got Magneto. And then just some more stuff going on there. And then pretty much it's straight in there. So for me, which I'm really happy about, this is around the Revolution, which was the omnibus before that. And I'll show them together. It was pretty cool. So for me, the great thing about this is there are so many series in this book that I haven't actually read. So Magneto Dark Seduction being one of them. And I'm going to flick through these. I'm not going to spend ages going through this. You know, it's a story that I don't know, and it leads to him versus the Avengers. So this, I'm not sure if this is straight after he takes over Genosha. So the Magneto War, as they call it, is kind of over with. But ideally, this is when he's running it, and it's like, this is really nice. I saw this when I first flicked through this. So it looks like a really cool story with the Avengers, which I really like. The next bit is X-Men Forever. Now, with this is huge. And it has quite a few characters that are probably behind the scenes at the time. Mystique, Iceman. The weird thing was, this is probably around the first time that the X-Men film came out, and they actually make Mystique look like the movie Mystique, which is really kind of weird for me. I found it weird. I'm not sure what everybody else found. When I first saw X-Men Forever, I thought it was the series that Chris did in 2009. I thought it was a bit bizarre that it would have been put in here. So I've clearly missed this series completely. I didn't even know it existed. So I'm glad to be. I'm looking forward to reading it. So if you know what this story is, please don't tell me, because I don't want to know. Quite cool. I guess the big story for me in this, which I did read, is, first of all, the Cure, which is a big part of the X-Men legacy story. It's how the legacy story ended. Spoilers. Are you ready? I'm sure you should know this by now. It was 19 years ago, so I'm pretty sure it's not a spoiler anymore. Colossus uses the cure. Here it is. So Beast finds a cure, but the only way to do it is to use a mutant's physique or physiological body to neutralize it. So Colossus gives himself in this magic moment of self-sacrifice. He's one of the oldest X-Men out there. Obviously, we know, if you're a fan, he returns in Joss Whedon's run, which is quite clever how they returned him. I really actually did enjoy how they returned it. The next bit was, for me, an emotional ride, and I probably read this story a lot later than 2000s. It was probably around 2006, I think, maybe 2004. That's when I read it. So 4 years later, when I was just trying to catch up with it, there's this story about Kitty and Peter. It was kind of breathtaking in my mind. Her memories, her thoughts, really, really some beautiful stuff in there. The next story in here is this. I'm trying to get to it. I think this is the Unlimited. One of the Unlimited issues. I could be completely wrong. And then another thing that I loved was X-Men: The Search for Cyclops. One of my favorite miniseries. That they seem to get, when they do miniseries around Cyclops, they did the whole Cyclops and Phoenix Adventures. Those two miniseries were absolutely beautiful. And this once again is a really good story. So Cyclops once again sacrificed himself and kind of merged with Apocalypse to save his children. And he starts popping up again with Apocalypse in him. And I'm not going to pretend to remember everything in this story, but it ultimately leads to the return of Cyclops to the fold. And after this, those who are big fans of Cyclops, this is when they started making... Cyclops was an interesting character anyway. Contrary to what anybody says, he's my favorite. This is where they really, really grew him. They grew him with the decimation, being on the brink of extinction, trying to return his race back to normal. And this is where it all began, this whole merging with Apocalypse, starting to feed perhaps the dark thoughts that he perhaps has. And maybe the dark thoughts have always been there, but he's always kept them in check. He never gave in to them. And then this moment with him, and he goes to meet Corsair, and I can't remember exactly, they spent some time together. Good old character driven story, and I enjoyed it. And you got the Unlimited run, which once again I don't know very well. I wasn't a big fan of around here, and the stories that I read were in the Essential X-Men series, or I bought the graphic novel, like I bought Dream's End. I think Eve of Destruction was actually probably the only one that I actually didn't get, because it was really expensive for some reason. I just couldn't find it anywhere for a decent price, so I never bought it. And then I changed into hardbacks and omnibuses, and then obviously we had Revolutions last year, and it was spot on. This whole volume is spot on. Now for me, the next thing that I would like to see is the next kind of run of Uncanny X-Men. And it probably could just be the Uncanny X-Men, because we've got new X-Men in an omnibus already. And I feel that Extreme X-Men should have its own omnibus as well. So I got that. No? Oh, well, I might have not got it wrong about the cover. But yeah, I would love to see an Extreme X-Men omnibus last year. It's, you know, it's well over 10 years in the making. I need that in my life. I love that series. Just like I loved new X-Men. Don't get me wrong, Extreme, I felt that it always kind of fell off towards the end. So pretty much it's like the X-Men aren't around, or along those lines. Magneto's in full power and he's doing some crazy stuff. So Jean goes to gather some X-Men, or create an X-Men team. Meanwhile, Cyclops and Wolverine are doing a whole kind of stealth mission in the background. So it's kind of like they made a big fuss of X-Men being disbanded, but they weren't. And it was all to kind of trick Magneto. And it was 1/1/12. I was talking crap earlier for that cover. I love that cover. It's one of the nice covers. Oh, and he captured Professor X. So it's quite nice. And these two being together at this point in time was kind of cool. I really did like it. So pretty much all these new X-Men are kind of thrown into it. Dazzler, Northstar. Northstar actually joins very shortly after this series as well, which I do enjoy him in this series. There's some crazy stuff going on there. The artwork's really nice. I really do enjoy the artwork. And pretty much, this is like they get thrown into it. This guy always reminds me of... This can't be Glob Herman anyway, surely, but it reminds me of him. That's Glob, tell me, please. It could be Glob, actually. Oh, he was probably a teenager. Maybe it is. I need to look at that afterwards. So pretty much, they're thrown in the deep end. And it's all kind of a trick, because they can't clearly fight Magneto. Oh, it would have been cool if he killed that Glob guy, because then I could have said it wasn't Glob. Oh no, it's like Dazzler. But it's not. It's all, once again, it's all a trick. And once again, you know, Magneto's costume there is pretty amazing. So it all kind of ends up in disaster for Magneto anyway. And pretty much it ends up with there we go, gets a severed spine from Wolverine. And this is that cover on the front. Very nice. And there's a little epilogue. And then at the back, just some covers. Nothing special. Some original concept art. The Cure is one of the big storylines in there. Eve of Destruction is. And Search for Cyclops. They're like the big issues in here for me. And then it's just nice to have those extra issues that combine into this kind of omnibus to make it a really nice whole story. Are starting to give us a chronological order of decent hardbacks of the X-Men series for the early 2000s. Okay, so just to wrap it up, a fantastic book that it seems to be long overdue, and I feel like Marvel are ticking all the book boxes at the moment. There's some things which I always say that there are some reprints that definitely need to happen, especially with some of the older runs, Inferno, the X-Men, maybe Jim Lee's stuff, but they certainly seem to be going in the right direction for me in terms of what they're giving us for Cable and X-Force, for this X-Men kind of 2000 run. They're giving us almost a complete 90s run, almost very soon with Shadow Shot. And if they, they just spruce up a couple of the middle gaps and the late 90s gaps, we could have a full 90s run very, very soon. Which is, something to marvel at. So I couldn't resist. So thank you for watching. Follow me on Facebook. My page is SmurredP. Follow me on Twitter at SmurredP. No idea what I'm doing, but I'm there. And embrace the geekiness. Goodbye.